Wait. I'll wait for the rest at the end with bated breath.
Oh.
Well, I was just wondering that. I'll go down to the door. Let me go down to the door.
Okay. Welcome. I don't. And people come. I love it. I think I'm actually on air at this point. So, yes, we're streaming this. It's a Zoom. So, yes, you could have stayed home, but you didn't, and I'm so glad you're here. All right. I am on. Okay, I apologize. Apparently, we are already on our Zoom meeting, and so welcome to those of you who are here in person and those of you who are Zooming in. I want to take just a few minutes to explain a little bit about the draft ministry action plan. It will remain a draft until Sunday night, September 25th, that is this Sunday, and we're going to have a church-wide gathering, and we'll have a potluck that starts at 5 o'clock, and probably somewhere around 5:45 or so, we will have a time for discussion and a vote on the plan. The plan was developed by church council chairs and church members with guidance from the Strategic Planning Committee. The plan itself is organized by familiar church council offices, plus we have 2 bonus areas that are currently not church council offices. One is music, and the other is communication, technology, and media. Both of those areas were of a fairly high degree of interest on the survey that the church conducted this spring. The plan truly is based on the spring survey that was completed by church members. We received 81 survey responses, and there were some clear trends in what we saw. Members love our church and value our many outreach programs. Coming out of the isolation from COVID, members are hungry for spiritual nourishment and eager for fellowship. And so they are looking for more opportunities for Bible study and more opportunities for fellowship. It was clear in the response to the surveys that we want to encourage all Christians, and we want to open our doors to the community even more than they have been in the past. There were some concerns expressed in the survey as well. Excuse me, I have allergies this time of year, just like everybody else. Some of the concerns that were expressed had to do with our financial status as a church and our existing mortgage. In addition, there was concern that we don't have adequate staffing, and specifically they identified communication, technology, and media as areas where we need additional staff. You have to remember that coming out of COVID, our minister, Dr. Phil, had retired. We had an interim pastor who was really sick a lot of the time, and so was not able to be here as often as he would like. We lost our music director, and we lost the director of our Wesley Day School. So we did have a lot of staffing issues, and Tanya, to her credit, really held down the fort. In some of the areas that are currently staffed and staffed well, members expressed support for continuing and enhancing them, specifically in the areas of our youth ministry and in children's ministry. They were considered areas of importance. So what's in the plan? We have goals from each church council office, plus those two bonus chapters, music and communication technology and media. In each chapter, the committee chairs and their members identified plans for accomplishments that emphasize our top priority, which is to grow the kingdom. Our church, we believe, will grow and prosper if we focus on the primary goal of growing the kingdom rather than on increasing membership of our church. We honored our existing mission statement to glorify God by connecting people with Jesus Christ through spiritual nourishment and dynamic outreach, with a new vision statement that says we seek to glorify God, follow Jesus, serve others, and welcome everyone. The mission statement was considered to be what we were looking for was something that was memorable and concise enough that you could put it on a t-shirt. We commit to spiritual nourishment and growth with plans to offer more Bible studies that will be pastor-led. We are really lucky in this church to have not only a full-time pastor, but also 2 retired ministers who are more than competent at Bible study, plus people like Tanya and other lay leaders who offer Bible studies for us. So we will be increasing the number of opportunities for Bible study. We plan to evaluate our church finances and make progress on debt reduction while evaluating staff assignments to address gaps that have been identified as areas important to our members. And then this particular part of the plan I'm kind of proud of, I have to admit. In each chapter, you'll find a description of the church office and the entities underneath them. We had a number of comments on the survey that said they knew that our church did a lot of things, and they thought it was really cool, for lack of a better word. But they said plainly, I know that our church does a lot of things, but I don't know much about them. I know we do Cinderella's Closet, but I don't really know anything about it. I know we do a Honduras mission, but I really don't know anything about it. And so in every chapter of the plan, we have a concise description of what that activity involves. So we've addressed that with background information and in some informative explanations and some other clear descriptions. There are 2 areas, both finance and at the Wesley Day School, that we added quite a bit of information to make sure that the church members understand what's going on. The introduction to the plan provides a brief discussion of issues related to the global Methodist Church and what our current book of discipline says about LGBTQ plus issues. And you all are probably familiar with the acronym, but I'm going to go ahead and, and identify. L stands for lesbian, G for gay, B for bisexual, T for trans, Q for questioning, and plus is anything else. We are a United Methodist Church, and we adhere to the Book of Discipline. Our church cannot conduct same-sex marriages, and our denomination will not ordain gay pastors. As a church that welcomes all Christians, we are hopeful that the 2024 General Conference will revise the Book of Discipline. The issue is deemed important to our church, but it is not addressed anywhere else in the plan except in the introduction. Simply stated, until the Book of Discipline changes, United Methodist churches are bound to follow it, and we are a United Methodist congregation. To clarify, the church will not be voting on these issues on September 25th. We did have a few people who thought we were trying to vote on this issue, but the vote will be exclusively to affirm the plans made in the Ministry Action Plan. The Ministry Action Plan provides a one-year roadmap for our church, September to September. The authors dreamed big and reached for the stars. In every case, the plans rely on the support of our members. To fully realize our commitment to growing the kingdom, members will be asked to dedicate themselves to spiritual growth, to volunteer service, and financial support. It's a living document. Once approved, accomplishments will be reported in our church council meetings and to the congregation through newsletter articles and ministry moments in the worship services. The plan is located on the church website, and I'm hoping that all of you have had a chance to review it at this point. It is 50 pages, a little bit more than that, but worth reading every page. And if you can't read the entire plan, please read at least the 4-page introduction. And then you can skip around to the areas of interest to you. I think that's pretty much all I have to explain things. Are there questions or concerns about the plan? Well, this is going to be a short meeting. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering why, when we did the survey, that we weren't informed that the survey would be used to make this plan.
Oh, we did say that.
We did?
Yes, I think we did.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. What about the information from the survey? Could that be released so we could see exactly what was written?
I don't see any problem with that. It's certainly not secret, and very few members identified their names. You know, most of
Yeah,
it was,
I mean, I'm sure
simply,
that, I'm sure the name would need to be redacted, but
yeah.
I just think it would be good to see
You're just curious about what the survey actually
what the
said.
actual hard data said.
What I would like to say is that when we got all the survey results in, we separated them out by individual chapter. So perhaps somebody said 5 things in their, they wanted to keep Sunday school, they wanted to stop meeting on rainy days, they had multiple things. And what we did was we sorted those so that Outreach saw their comments, InReach saw their comments, United Methodist Men saw their comments. And so the entire set was divided up so that each group could really focus on the comments related to them.
Okay. Despite all the detail in there, I'm wondering if we need more detail in some areas. Like, for instance, on the media part, our website, to me, needs a lot of work and a lot of expansion, but there's no mention of exactly what the plans are to do that or who's going to be doing that or in charge of doing that. And another area that I have a lot of concern about is growing the church. I see growing the church as part of our mission, part of our improvement in our finances, and just the way things ought to be done, but I don't see much in the way of specifics about how we're going to be doing that.
Okay. Each individual chapter, each committee chair, take your second question first, was asked to evaluate how they could grow the kingdom from their small area of responsibility. And I can even give you a really good example of how good the response was. The Fine Arts Committee had submitted their chapter and they were pleased with it. And they emailed me several days later and said, you know what, we don't think we've done enough on growing the kingdom. And so they added some things. In terms of growing the kingdom, it's not going to be a simple thing. We have outreach suggestions where people are going to try and open up the church more frequently to members of the community. There are, like in the Fine Arts Committee, they added specifically a paragraph saying that they would make sure they had more information in the state journal, that they would make sure that the church was open for receptions when they added new artwork to the gallery, that they would make an effort to include the community and make sure that they came in. There have been a lot of interesting ideas, honestly, about how to, like if we open up the gym for a basketball event or a volleyball event, then could we also hand out pieces of paper saying, what do you think? And what, trying to encourage them to think of our church as a church home and not just a great gym location. But the truth is, when we were talking about this in the committee meetings, the idea of growing the kingdom wasn't just about growing our own membership. We would be perfectly happy if someone comes to God through us and ends up as a Baptist. You have to tell me your first question.
Communications, media, and it is.
Yes.
Because we know that's
Yes.
an area where we need staff and more support on. So
Yes. We do know.
It had to do with specifics for improving and enlarging the website.
Yes. Well, we definitely need that. And anybody who has looked at the plan knows that our strategic plan for 1 year doesn't look like many strategic plans. We don't have the vision, mission, goal, objective, task, subtask, below subtask, metrics. We didn't follow a traditional plan format. Coming back out of COVID, we were just trying to get everything rebooted and started up. So it's just a 1-year plan, and we do have a lot going on in communication, technology, and media. We have volunteers who have offered to survey all of the church equipment, programs, software, all of that. We have people who have volunteered to serve on a church council committee on communication, technology, and media. I don't see it as being an overnight fix, but there is a lot of interest in making sure that we have a good social media presence, a good website. Patricia McDonald did an amazing amount of work to get our current website up into more functional. We shut a lot of things down during COVID because we weren't holding church services, and so we didn't have a schedule online, that sort of thing. And she has worked really tirelessly to improve things. Not saying it's where it needs to be, just that we are moving forward and making progress. So yeah, there is a lot to be done. Every single one of these chapters envisions a lot of work. And so at the end of next September, in addition to having regular reports to church council and regular reports to the congregation, about March of next year, we're going to start on the 3 to 5 year plan. And then we envision a standing committee of the church council for strategic planning. And if we decide that the next plan will be a 3-year plan, at the end of that first year, we will start again and rework it to be a 3-year plan for the next area. So we won't have what happened to our last plan. It was 2015 to 2018. And when 2018 came, that was the end of our plan. What we're hoping for is to have a rolling plan year, basically, whether it's 3 or 5 years. It's hard to plan for everything. We could have another pandemic, or we could have a flood in Frankfurt that changes everything for a while. So the plan is a living, breathing document, and it's meant to be flexible. So what things we miss, what accomplishments we miss, and what accomplishments we make that aren't even envisioned in the plan, they'll all just kind of float along together, and we'll just keep working on developing a bigger and better plan, basically.
Well, my concern from what you said, though, is the website. You said there are lots of people interested in working, but who's going to be in charge of picking that person and enabling them to make decisions and do things? Because there are a lot of people that are interested, but they're not empowered to get things done. How do we do that?
The Staff Parish Relations Committee is going to be looking at a staff realignment, and they hope to have their recommendations by January. That's one way that we will see changes in our approach to communication technology and media. Until then, we have some volunteers who have agreed to step in and help. And that's kind of a small answer. It means that there's a small group of people who we are relying on to transition us to something more of a permanent solution. And so if you're interested in working on this,
I don't know that I can do specifics, but I'm happy to give my thoughts. And
Sure.
share my thoughts
Sure.
with people, because I have plenty.
Okay. More questions? More thoughts? More concerns? Oh, y'all are a really good group. Okay. You have, well, there's no one else here, and we can, who's eager to use the microphone. I'll just put it that way. But, and we can meet separately if you want to meet separately, but we've got a full hour here, and you're welcome to keep.
Okay. Well, I think my main other comment had to do with the statement about gay and lesbian and so forth. And I'm not here to debate that issue specifically, but my comment has to do with whether or not we should have a statement about it in this. My thought is that there is no reason that we need to make a statement in this about that issue, and that in doing so, all we are likely to do is create division in the church and in people looking to come to here as a church. There is no reason that we need to make a statement or take a stand on this issue at this time. And by putting that in there, we're just drawing a line in the sand and putting people at the far end of that line rather than keeping us in the middle as a group. And my thought is we don't need that at this time.
Well, I respect your opinion on that. The committee spent a lot of time thinking about this issue. In February, when the committee was first formed, it looked like there was going to be a general conference in 2022, and that didn't happen. And so we were able to sort of put this on a back burner and proceed with the plan without really worrying, I guess, that in August of that year, the Book of Discipline would be amended. Once we realized we had until 2024, we simply rerouted and focused on the plan itself. But there's been a lot of interest, concern, fretting about what the Global Methodist Splinter Group means to our church. There's an awareness that some churches have already split away from the United Methodist denomination. And our intention was to provide what we knew that was factual as of today, and then to identify that our church, in their survey responses, was eager to welcome everyone. And our vision statement includes that we welcome everyone. In the interest of equity and fairness, just saying that much seemed to be inadequate. And so we also we took the extra step of saying that we would support changes to the Book of Discipline. That seemed to be what we were hearing in the surveys. We didn't ask any questions about immigration or LGBTQ issues. We didn't ask specific social issues, but what we saw was a concern that we are Christians and we would welcome all Christians to this church.
How many people in the survey commented on that?
I couldn't tell you. And very few people, there were some that commented specifically on LGBTQ plus issues, but there were a lot of people who felt like we weren't doing enough to open our doors to the community and that we needed to.
Because there's the difference between opening our doors to the community. I'm not seeing any situation where we're not welcoming to LGBTQ or anybody else that wants to come to the church. The issue only has to do with pastors and marriage.
Yes, that's correct. And that's what we say in the introduction.
So there's no evidence that we're not welcome.
Well, the question is, can you be considered welcoming if you treat someone differently than everyone else is treated? And whether or not, for example, on an ordination issue, Moses wasn't receptive to being tapped on the shoulder by God. Jonah definitely wasn't. He not only whined about it beforehand, he went and finally did what God asked him to do, and when he was finished, he continued complaining, which all I can think is God must have gotten a good chuckle out of that. But if God lays it on the heart of someone who is LGBTQ plus to speak to the congregation or to be ordained, yeah.
I'm just saying, why do we need to make a statement at this time when it's not even going to come before the general board for 2 more years?
I think there's an interest. Now, this really comes more from meeting with the small groups. I think there's an interest in making sure that our congregation actually says the words that we're inclusive. Now, I know that there are a lot of beliefs. They're all different, and none of them are wrong. If someone feels that,
I'm not moving out of the church, but I think, what if people are not accepting of that are members of our church or that want to come and be members, and they see that? We're pushing them away unnecessarily by saying that when we don't really need to make a statement at all.
I respect what you're saying and think that there is some possibility that some members will leave, but you and I both know that diversity is what makes our church so great. And we want to be a big tent, and we want everyone to feel comfortable sitting in the same pews, worshiping with people who feel differently than we do. I feel sure that if I asked the entire church, do you believe in God? Everybody'd raise their hand and say amen. Do you believe in Jesus? Yes, amen. You could keep going until you reach some point where everybody has a slightly different opinion about what a passage means. It's simply a matter of interpretation.
I'm not
Yeah.
arguing about
Sure.
I'm not arguing about whether we should accept those people, or, the pastors or the marriage or not. I'm just saying, should we make a statement about it at this time or not? That's the issue.
I do understand what you're saying. The committee felt like it was appropriate to make a statement. And so that's the answer. Now, if during the voting process, if an amendment is made to remove this language, then we can vote on that. We can vote on that.
Abby, let me just make one comment too, that, and I don't think I know. You're on Zoom.
Oh, you have to have a microphone.
I'm sorry. And, Roger, we did hear, and Abby's been chair and done a fabulous job with this committee, and I've been vice chair, but we did hear from a lot of people that realized that some churches had left, had joined the global church, and what is our church going to do, and why wouldn't we say what we're going to do this year? Are we staying Methodist? What are we going to do? So there was a strong feeling among a lot of people that we needed a statement in there that said, we're staying United Methodists for this year. So that was part of that.
All right. Anybody else want to contribute? Roger, anything else? Okay. Well, I thank you for your comments. They are well received. We want everyone's opinions, and we really want the plan to be a success. It's amazing how many people worked on the plan. Committee chairs involved their committees. They involved church members for communication, technology, and media. People just came together when we asked them to. They said, well, this is what I can do, this is what I can do. And they were very generous with their time and talents. And so I'm very appreciative of that. All right, if nobody else has anything to add, I think we can call this nice meeting a wrap. Thank you all for coming.